who will be number one in our top 10. What's up everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Wrestling Experience. This is episode 2 of The Wrestling Experience, and episode 1 dropped last week. Please go and check that on my YouTube page. And episode 1 we looked at the backstage shenanigans of the WWE, all the wrestlers that are asking for their contract releases. We looked at the first 2 episodes of Worlds Collide. That was Cruiserweights Collide and NXT versus NXT alumni. This week, we're going to be looking at a couple of different things. So we are going to be covering off episode 3 of WWE Worlds Collide that was filmed over WrestleMania Access weekend. And it was entitled Women Collide. So female talent from the women's division from NXT, NXT UK and the main roster all go up against each other in 4 really, really good fast-paced high octane matches, so really looking forward to covering those matches off. And then we're going to be looking at what we've done over the last week or so on Wrestling with John's Facebook group and Twitter pages. Is I've asked my followers to go out and give me a list of their top 5 NXT UK female talent. And I've got quite a few responses, and from that what I've done is I've ranked not just the top 5 but a top 10. So we're going to be going through what my listeners and followers and myself believe are the top 10 NXT UK women's wrestlers. So we're going to be ranking them from 10 down to 1, and we're going to be breaking down each of the wrestlers. And we're going to be looking at their accomplishments and how well they've done kind of outside of WWE, outside of NXT UK, and since they've joined the brand. So that'll be really fun. Can't wait to get into that. Just want to throw out a couple of plugs before we get into the nitty gritty. You can follow Wrestling with Johners, myself, or the Wrestling Experience on Twitter, twitter.com/withjohners_pod. So it's at withjohners_pod. On Instagram you can reach out to us. It's instagram.com/wrestling with Johners. If you want to email the show, you can do. You can get in touch with us, give us some feedback, tell us what you think about the podcast or the new YouTube series. Just simply email wrestlingwithjohners@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us and join our very interactive, fun and engaging Facebook group. Just go onto Facebook, search Wrestling with Johners, and Johners is spelled JOHNERS, Wrestling with Johners. Find the icon, tap on the logo there, and looks like ask to be part of that very fun and interactive group, the Wrestling with Johners Facebook group. So, let's have a look at Worlds Collide, Women Collide. So we had Vic Joseph and Aidan English, accompanied by Mia Yim in the commentary team. So Vic Joseph usually does NXT UK, Aidan English is part of the commentary team on 205 Live, and Mia Yim is a current roster member within the women's division on NXT, and one of the more experienced, more accomplished, one of the better wrestlers in the women's division on NXT, and we've seen her have a kind of battles with Shayna Baszler over recent weeks, but she's part of the commentary team here to add her insight and expertise into these matches. The first match, however, is Candice LeRae versus Kaylee Ray. So Candice LeRae we've kind of seen quite a bit as the wife of Johnny Gargano, especially in the kind of year or 2 years that he was feuding with Tommaso Ciampa, but this year most definitely she's been getting more and more opportunities in the ring to make a name for herself as one of the better workers really on the women's division on NXT or any of the WWE brands, to be honest with you. She's a seasoned wrestler, seasoned vet on the indie scene. She's done a lot of intergender wrestling in the past, but here she is. I mean, we only have to kind of mention that this year alone she was in the Women's Royal Rumble in January at Phoenix. She was part of the Women's Battle Royal at this year's WrestleMania, and she's really making a name for herself. Above and beyond just being Johnny Gargano's wife, and as great as I'm sure that is, being part of that kind of combo and helping him towards NXT Gold, TakeOver New York. Here she's making a name in her own right, and rightly so, very much deserved, going up against one of the newest acquisitions to the NXT UK brand, Kaylee Ray. So to start off with, there's a nice exchange of arm bars between these two seasoned wrestlers to start the match. Candice gets a couple of early 2 counts from a Canadian Destroyer and a crucifix pinning attempt. Candice connects with 3 consecutive dives through the ropes onto Kaylee Ray on the outside, driving her opponent into the guardrails, followed by a double stomp from the top turnbuckle onto the back of Kaylee Ray. So a really good sequence of dives there. Kaylee Ray follows this up with a moonsault and a super kick to the head of Candice. There's a wicked German suplex spot where Candice bringing Kaylee Ray down hard from the second turnbuckle for a close near fall. So a German suplex off of the turnbuckles there. Pretty hard spot there. The match does come to an end on the 9-minute mark, however, with Candice LeRae coming away with the deserved victory and a hard-fought victory, hitting a really good reverse runner on Kaylee Ray, followed by a neck breaker and a springboard moonsault, like a lion salt, like Chris Jericho does or used to do for the 3 counts. A really good sequence of moves there for Candice LeRae to put away Kaylee Ray in this excellent opener. So that was a really fun match. Like I say, we haven't seen an awful lot of Candice LeRae in the ring up until this year, which I'm really, really pleased with, and great to see Kaylee Ray, one of the best talents, not just in the UK, but across Europe and possibly the world in terms of female wrestling talents. Truly top draw, and great to see this match here. Let's move on to match number 2, and it was Zelina Vega versus Piper Niven in this week's Worlds Collide. So there's a serious size and weight difference and advantage towards Piper Niven in this match. Zelina mostly seen as the manager of Andrade, so good to see her getting in the ring here and getting her opportunity to show us what a fantastic wrestling talent she is, and she hasn't been able to demonstrate that over the couple of years that she's been on our screens, mostly as the kind of manager of Andrade. Zelina executes a great tilt-a-whirl DDT on Piper Niven here in the early going of the matches. Piper nails Vega with a senton and a running crossbody for a 2 count. Vega hits Andrade's double knees into the corner onto Piper Niven for a 2 count, with Piper managing to put her foot on the rope to break the count. The match doesn't go much longer, however, as Piper Niven makes a quick recovery and drops Zelina Vega with a Michinoku driver for the 3 count after 5 minutes. So listeners of Wrestling with Johners will know that I'm a big fan of Piper Niven, and thought that she was excellent in this match. I think that her being in NXT UK, or certainly under the WWE banner, once again following her 2017 appearance in the Mae Young Classic, is long overdue, and I'm really, really happy to see her back here. We'll talk more about Piper Niven later on. I'm sure she'll possibly feature inside the top 10. Stay tuned for that. Match number 3 of 4, there was Io Shirai versus Sonya Deville. So Sonya is definitely the aggressor in the early stages of this match, demonstrating this by yanking Io Shirai down from the second turnbuckle with force onto the canvas. Io gets a close near fall from a top rope missile dropkick. Io Shirai does, however, miss her trademark moonsault, almost landed on her feet. But Sonya Deville takes advantage of Shirai's stumble, connecting with a spear and a 3 count pinfall victory against the Empress of the Skies. So not often you see Io Shirai get beaten, and in quite quick fashion, but Sonya Deville is the main roster talent here, and she's obviously got that little bit of extra experience having been on the main roster, part of the stablemates with Mandy Rose for quite a while. A good win here for Sonya Deville, and I'd like to see her get some more exposure, some more matches. We know that Io Shirai's got good things in the works, and no doubt that she'll have her NXT Women's Championship shot against Shayna Baszler soon, and no doubt she'll be, wouldn't surprise me if Io becomes the next NXT Women's Champion at some point fairly soon. I think it's only a matter of months before Shayna gets called up to the main roster, and I think Io could be taking that crown off of her very soon. Then we get the main event of this week's Worlds Collide, and it's for the NXT UK Championship. Toni Storm putting a NXT UK Women's Championship on the line against Bianca Belair from NXT and Nikki Cross from the main roster, SmackDown. Nikki Cross takes advantage by trapping Toni Storm and Bianca Belair in the ring skirt on the ring apron before laying in a beating onto both of these women with elbows and chops and punches. Bianca hits a double spear onto both Nikki and Toni in the centre of the ring, managing to get a 2 count on Nikki, then Toni, before taking out Nikki Cross with her KOD, with Toni Storm breaking up the count and saving her title in the process. So a really good fast sequence of events there. Toni hits a trademark headbutt onto Belair, plenty of fast-paced action, and so many close near falls from all 3 wrestlers in this match. Nikki Cross misses a dive from the top rope, allowing Toni Storm to connect with her Storm Zero for the pinfall victory to retain her championship in a match that went 8 minutes in a fun and action-packed championship match. So Toni Storm, still the NXT UK Women's Champion, in a really good match here, and it caps off a really good hour of wrestling. Really enjoyed all 4 matches, what you're really here for is to listen to the top 10 of NXT UK women's talent. So we've broken down your kind of votes. I've asked you to send me your kind of top 5 of NXT UK talents within the women's division on NXT UK. Remember now, there was a few kind of honourable mentions. Now there were a few votes for Lana Austin, who's a seasoned vet on the UK scene mostly, and a very, very popular wrestler. She has got a lot more experienced, a lot more skilled in the ring. We have seen her in Progress and other kind of bigger indie promotions such as that, but we did see her in one match. Now she did come on, it was unfortunately a fairly quick match where she was beaten. Now it was the night after NXT UK Takeover Blackpool and the Blackpool tapings from January. So she has had kind of a very brief spell in NXT UK, which is why she's an honourable mention and not within the top 10. Similar for Candy Floss. Now we have seen Candy Floss a few times. More recently, she has lost on NXT UK TV to Candice LeRae in her NXT UK debut. But Candy Ross has really been there in kind of quite a minor role, and although she was voted for a couple of times, she just drops outside the top 10 here. Likewise, Charlie Evans. So I'm not sure whether Charlie Evans, although she's very popular on the indie circuit, has actually wrestled in a WWE or an NXT UK ring yet. Yes, for that person who voted for Charlie Evans, not quite managing to get her inside the top 10, but at the same time I'm not sure, and I'm sure that one of you will correct me, I'm not sure she's actually wrestled in NXT UK as of yet. But let's have a look at number 10. So number 10 in our list is Isla Dawn. So 25 years of age, from Glasgow, Scotland. She was trained by none other than Tommy End, more prominently known nowadays as Aleister Black. So she's developed the gimmick of the White Witch, and has been a regular feature in the women's division on NXT UK since it came to life in 2018. So we have seen quite a lot of Isla Dawn on NXT UK. Isla's been making her name on the indies since back in 2013, and she was trained by Tommy End, of course, Aleister Black, and first appeared inside a WWE ring in June 2018 when she wrestled in a number 1 contenders match for the NXT Women's Championship to face Shayna Baszler. She did win that number 1 contenders match, but that was the back-to-back nights at the Royal Albert Hall in June 2018 for the shows that aired on the network in July. Isla fully deserves a spot inside the top 10 here, but appears to be overshadowed by 2 other fellow Scots at the moment who will kind of make their name a bit higher up in the rankings a little bit later on. Her White Witch gimmick does have potential. I quite enjoy it. I think she's got a great entrance. I think she does have a lot of potential with the White Witch gimmick, which could be explored a little bit more, in my opinion. Unless the WWE develops her character more in the future, I don't see Isla being taken too seriously, especially with some of the bigger names that have recently entered the NXT UK women's division. But she's got excellent ring ability, amazing yeah, amazing ring awareness and fantastic wrestling style, but I think she just needs a little bit more luck on her side, maybe a little bit of character development. They could do a lot more with her gimmick, but that's Isla Dawn at number 10. Number 9, we've got Nina Samuels. So Nina is definitely a wrestler on the rise. She was the Pro Wrestling Eve champion for 4 months from November 2018 through to March of this year, and besides wrestling for numerous promotions outside the UK, including Progress, Pro Wrestling Chaos, Kamikaze Pro and Rev Pro, Nina has wrestled a number of matches on TV for NXT UK. Nina has had a dozen or so matches under the NXT UK banner, with a couple of wins against Charlie Morgan and Killer Kelly. Nina Samuels has a great look and some pretty high profile matches yet to be shown on NXT UK from the Glasgow tapings, which took place a couple of weekends ago. Nina is number 9 on our list of top 10. Number 8, we've got Millie McKenzie. So, just got to run down some of her title reigns here. She was the Defiant Women's Champion from February 2018 through to June 2018. The PWR Tag Team Champion with Pete Dunne, of all people, the Bruiserweights, from June 2018, the 1st of June through to the 29th of June, so about a month-long reign, those two as the Tag Team Champions, Pete Dunne and Millie McKenzie. She was the Fight Forever World Champion back in December. And then she did her second tour of Japan, and we'll talk about tours of Japan in a moment, fighting under the banner of Sendai Girls, and she was the Sendai Girls Junior Champion. And more recently, she's the Kamikaze Pro Tag Team Champion with Chief Deputy Dunn and Los Federales Santos Jr. of the Anti-Fun Police. So she's part of that group to be the Kamikaze Pro Tag Team Champion. So she's got some credentials. And let's talk a little bit more about Millie McKenzie. So, Millie is one of the most exciting young talents in NXT UK, and certainly on the NXT scene at the moment, and she's only 18 years old and has already been wrestling for 2 years. She's one of the most in-demand female wrestlers at the moment. Millie has wrestled 2 tours of Japan, as I mentioned, and was not only trained by Pete Dunne. I mentioned about her being Pete Dunne's tag partner earlier, but he actually trained or helped to train Millie McKenzie. But she also spent time training with Miko Satomura. You may remember Miko Satomura from last year's Mae Young Classic, and what a revelation she was. She's a 20-year pro, and she trained over in Japan with Miko and under the Sendai Girls promotion in Japan, also becoming their Sendai Girls Junior Champion in April 2019, so earlier on this month, as well as wrestling Miko Satomura herself during that same tour. Now, Millie has only wrestled a handful of matches under the WWE banner for NXT UK, most notably during the NXT tapings in Birmingham in August 2018, where she lost in the first round of the tournament to crown the new NXT UK Women's Champion, and she lost against Ginny there. She did, however, get a win in a tag match, pairing up with Zaya Brookside versus Charlie Morgan and Killer Kelly. Millie is renowned for her suplexes, hence her nickname Suplex Millie. And I, for one, would love to see Millie back doing more stuff more regularly with NXT UK, hopefully this year in 2019. And McKenzie is definitely the brightest prospect on the UK wrestling scene at the moment. And recently heard an interview with her on the Flash Morgan Webster podcast. Great interview, really good insight into kind of what got her into wrestling and what she's been doing in a very short career. And to hear her talk, it sounds like, you know, she's been doing this thing for 10 years plus, but she's only been doing it for just over 2 years. I think she started training at the age of 15, made her debut, around 15, 16. She's only 18 now. It's incredible. Number 7 in our top 10 is Zaya Brookside. So Zaya is another young talent. A very, very talented wrestler who appears to be getting better with every match that I see her in, and has been wrestling since 2015. Xena carries the famous last name of her father, WWE trainer and British wrestling legend, Robbie Brookside, of course. But she's not got to where she is because of her last name. Oh no, she is definitely putting the miles and definitely making a name for herself in a very short space of time. Zia has been plying her trade around Europe, winning titles along the way, including in IPW UK Women's Championship, which she held for 279 days. Xia has been a regular fixture on NXT UK since it first hit our screens back in 2018. But Xia first wrestled inside a WWE ring at last year's Mae Young Classic, you may remember, where she went out in the first round in that brutal, hard-hitting match against the eventual finalist Io Shirai, and Xia did get the living hell beaten out of her by Shirai in that match. Xia, however, also had a mini feud with Rhea Ripley last year, which included a match between the two in the tournament to crown the first ever NXT UK Women's Champion. We're big fans of Xia Brookside in the Wrestling with Johners community, and we're looking forward to seeing great things from Xia Brookside in 2019 and beyond. Number 6. Wow, this could be classed as a bit of a controversial input into the top 10. Jazzy Gabbert. So Jazzy is pretty much a 20-year veteran, and she started when she was 18, and she's got a long career, mostly around Europe. And Jazzy is truly a veteran of the wrestling business. She's wrestled all over the world, including TNA under her previous moniker of Alpha Female, of course. But for the last 2 years, she's gained a following through the WWE audience, and that is after through barely wrestling a match under the WWE banner. Her story is well known. She got over huge despite losing in the first round of the 2017 Mae Young Classic to Abby Laith. You may remember that match. Everyone was surprised that Jazzy didn't go through in that match. But for the last 2 years, she has gained a huge following from the WWE audience, who really kind of enjoyed a match. And she actually had a dark match. I think it was a 6-woman tag match on night 2, which did get aired later on through the series of Mae Young Classic episodes in 2017. But off the back of her popularity from that match with Abby Laith and that 6-woman tag, she did get signed by the WWE, only to have the contract frozen after it was discovered that she needed neck surgery to fix a long-term neck injury. Now, Jazzy had to kind of, find the funds, and she did actually fund the surgery herself that was required. She got herself back to full strength and was re-signed by the WWE earlier on this year. And of course, we all saw Jazzy in the front row alongside Kaylee Ray at NXT UK TakeOver Blackpool. And that was great to see her. Surprised, I don't think anybody was expecting to see her in the front row as a new signee to NXT UK. Now, I know that Jazzy has not been seen on TV yet inside a WWE ring since re-signing with the company. However, she has made her official return at a recent NXT UK taping in Glasgow in a tag match alongside Ginny. Jazzy Gabbert is a unique wrestler, more in the vein of China and the more powerhouse females that we've had over the years. And with a range of power moves, I think that Jazzy Gabbert will be a force to be reckoned with, and hopefully she hasn't lost any of her aura or fan appeal from when we last saw her. Right, we're into the top 5 now. Ginny is number 5. So Ginny's only been wrestling for the last 4 years, and she was trained by Jimmy Havoc, or under the Jimmy Havoc's training school Projo. Let's just have a look at some of the titles that Ginny has won. So she was the South Coast Queen of the Ring champion. She was the Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's Championship winner. She was obviously the Progress Women's Champion and the Maiden of Chaos Champion as well. So quite a few titles under her belt, and she's only been in the business 4 years. Now, Ginny is number 5 in our top 10 of NXT UK women. Now, here's an interesting fact that you may not have known. Ginny first became interested in pro wrestling at the age of 9 and grew up idolising Jushin Thunder Liger and Lita. So 2 really good role models there, and 2 really good inspirational wrestlers to learn from and to get you interested in the business. As I said, Ginny was trained by Jimmy Havoc's training school and made her wrestling debut in 2015. Hard to believe that she's only been in the wrestling business 4 years, despite always being considered one of the best female wrestling talents in the UK, or certainly been considered one of the best for quite a while now, which is why she ranks so high on this list and why she's achieved so much so far in such a short 4-year career. Now, Ginny has already had a lengthy reigns as Progress Women's Champion, which lasted for 7 months before losing her title this past December to Geordie and Grace, as well as the Rev Pro Undisputed British Women's Championship, holding the belt there for 6 months. Ginny is not only a very accomplished wrestler, but her fashionista gimmick is second to none in my opinion. She really pulls off that gimmick fantastically, and it's a lethal combination with her excellent gimmick and her fantastic wrestling ability, yeah, I don't think we've seen the best of Ginny yet in NXT UK. It would be a shame if Ginny doesn't hold the NXT UK Women's Championship at some point, hopefully this year, but I'm sure she'll be NXT UK Champion before this year is out. Number 4. Some might say slightly controversial to have her so high up on the list, but number 4 is Rhea Ripley. Now, Rhea may have gotten herself into a bit of bother of late with some inappropriate comments made during a live chat session earlier this week. However, inside the ring, she has been a revelation in the last year. Rhea was the surprise winner of the tournament to crown the first ever NXT UK Women's Champion back in September of last year, beating Toni Storm in that excellent finale match. We first heard of Rhea in the first ever Mae Young Classic tournament in 2017, where she went to round 2 and she went out to Dakota Kai in that match. But it was in the 2018 Mae Young Classic where she made a return, whole new persona, kind of like a bit of a punk rock kick-ass, no-nonsense gimmick, and it took her all the way to the semi-finals, and she had a fantastic run there, a great opportunity to demonstrate her new character and her new gimmick, which really works for her. She packed on a lot more muscle, and just her kind of gimmick and her get-up from top to toe just fits her perfectly to a T. And must have further caught the eye of Triple H, of course, because then shortly after that she got made the first ever NXT UK Women's Champion, of course. The rest, as they say, is history. Rhea is involved in a feud at the moment with Piper Niven at the moment on NXT UK, but with her tough, kick-ass, no-nonsense persona, her growing skill set in the ring, she's fast becoming talked about as possibly a future WWE Women's Champion, as long as she can behave herself online, of course. We're into our top 3 now. So number 3 in our top 10 is Piper Niven. Now, as many of you are aware, Piper Niven is one of my favourite wrestlers, and her credentials back this up. Piper is already an 11-year vet in the ring. Piper, or more commonly known as Viper, but for the purpose of our WWE NXT UK audience, Piper Niven made a pro wrestling debut in 2009, but swiftly started doing tours of Japan, where she is now idolised over there in the Far East. WWE fans first became familiar with Piper back in 2017. She was also an entrant in the first ever Mae Young Classic, of course, where she eventually lost to Toni Storm in the quarterfinals. Piper returned to Scotland, continued her training at the Asylum, which is part of the ICW setup there. Piper has had some amazing feuds in ICW, most notably with her biggest rival, Kaylee Ray. Now also part of the NXT UK roster, so no doubt those two will kind of hopefully rekindle their feud somewhere down the line, I'm sure. To date, Piper has won 13 championships, including the Artist of Stardom Championship, 2 times World of Sport Champion, 2 times ICW Women's Champion, as well as the EVE International Champion, and no doubt a future NXT UK Women's Champion. And she is our number 3 in our top 10 of NXT UK women. Number 2, So I know that she's not been part of the NXT UK brand for very long, but a lot of the Wrestling with Johners listeners and viewers ranked this person quite high in their top fives, and that is Kaylee Ray. So Kaylee Ray is our number 2. We spoke a bit about Kaylee Ray earlier on in a match against Candice LeRae at Worlds Collide from this past Wednesday. So Kaylee Ray is our number 2 on our list, and similar to Piper Niven is a 10-year vet. And in my opinion, Kaylee Ray is not just one of the best female wrestlers in the world, but I think that she's up there with anyone in the world, male or female, in my opinion. Kaylee Ray is technically sound, smooth in the ring, has a mixture of styles combining technical, high-flying and the occasional bit of hardcore. Kaylee Ray is one of those wrestlers who has the ability to make any one of her opponents look better simply by being in the ring with her. Kaylee Ray is a former 3 times ICW Women's Champion, as well as being a former Defiant Women's Champion, a former World of Sport Women's Champion, and a former Pro Wrestling Eve Women's Champion. So Kaylee Ray is in her kind of 3rd stint with the WWE, believe it or not. Now, many of you might not have known that. First stint was back in 2015 when she wrestled a handful of matches for NXT at Full Sail. She then returned in 2017 to be a part of the first ever Mae Young Classic, and more recently she's been seen in her kind of return under the WWE brand, the NXT brand, NXT UK brand. We saw her on this week's NXT UK have a bit of a stare down with the champion Toni Storm, and we're certainly leading to a match between these two in the coming weeks, and Kaylee Ray is our number 2. So that leaves us with one more spot to fill, one more position. Who is our number 1? Yes, you've probably guessed it. Our number 1 is Toni Storm. So Toni Storm is the current and 2-time WXW Women's Champion, the first ever Progress Women's Champion, former World of Stardom Champion, and the current NXT UK Women's Champion. And that's just for starters. She's won so many more championships. You know, she was winning championships as early as when she was 15 back in Australia, where she kind of really started to pick up the wrestling bug and take things seriously, and people started to, you know, hear about Toni Storm from when she was 15. She's only 23 now. She's of course the 2018 Mae Young Classic winner. She went out in the semi-final in 2017. 1 year later, she wins the whole damn thing, and she won the Mae Young Classic final match against Io Shirai at last year's WWE Evolution pay-per-view in October. Yeah, like I say, these don't include any of her accomplishments when she was a teenager. Toni Storm is only 23, and it's obvious that WWE have big plans for her on the main roster in the years to come. I don't believe that Toni is the best wrestler in the top 10, believe it or not. I think that she's still got you know, a lot of growing room. I think that she is not quite the finished product, and if you consider how good she is now, just imagine how scarily good she's going to be when she's you know, spent a couple of years on the main roster. But I do believe that she could be one of the best wrestlers in the world very, very soon. And yes, she's ranked number 1. A lot of you kind of put Toni Storm quite high up on your list, or number 1. Very, very deserved, not taking anything away from Toni, but I do think that she is going to become a better wrestler in the future. Toni has worked hard to achieve everything that she has in her career so far, to be number 1 in our NXT UK women's list, of course. Toni has been a fighting champion wherever she has gone, and could be a flag bearer for the whole of the women's division in NXT in years to come. So that's our top 10 women in NXT UK. So scarily good, considering that you probably couldn't pick out 10 names from Raw and do a similar list. You couldn't pick out 10 names from SmackDown and do a similar list. You'd probably struggle to pick out 10 names on the NXT brand and do a similar list. Do you agree with this list? Do you agree with the rankings, the positions? Do you agree with the top 10? Do you agree with who came out on number 1? If you do, or if you don't, if you agree or disagree, let us know. Drop a comment down below and let us know what your top 10 would look like, or who would be your number 1. So that's all for this episode of the Wrestling Experience. Don't forget to smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and don't forget to shout about Wrestling with Johners and the Wrestling Experience. And don't forget to hit that bell for notifications. Every time a new episode drops, you'll be notified to go and view the next episode on YouTube. Remember, the Wrestling Experience is exclusively on YouTube. Don't forget to get in touch with the show. You can email the show wrestlingwithjohners@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter @withjohners_pod. Find us on Instagram, instagram.com/wrestlingwithjohners, or look out for our Facebook group. Just go on Facebook and search Wrestling with Johners. I'll be back again soon with another episode of the Wrestling Experience, and of course don't forget to check out the Wrestling with Johners podcast. A new episode drops every Thursday or Friday every single week, looking at NXT UK, breaking down the matches on there, as well as looking at some of the hot topics of the week. And don't forget to check out the Wrestling Experience every week here on YouTube. That's the end of this episode. Have a good week. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this episode. Let us know in the comments what you think about this list, or what your list would look like. And thank you very much. Catch you all again soon.